I think it's safe to say that more than anything else, learning how to light my videos has had the greatest impact on the quality of my video work over the years. I know what it's like when you're first starting out and you're trying to learn as much as you can watching videos on YouTube about videography. You catch a flashy video about some piece of gear and you think, if I just get this one thing, that's gonna fix all my problems. And then you end up with a $300 paperweight in the shape of a gimbal, like me. My point is that unless you understand the principles of how to light yourself, even if you get that expensive 4K camera and matching lens, it's still gonna look like this instead of this. So today I want to talk about some basic lighting principles and angles to get your videos looking more cinematic. We'll start by defining some key terms, go through all your basic lighting angles, and then demoing a few lighting scenarios you can use in your own productions. First up, key light. The key light actually doesn't refer to a specific lighting angle, but simply the main source of illumination in your video. You can have a key light in front of your subject, on the side, above, or behind. As long as this is the main source of illumination, it's the key light. It's the most important light you use because where you place the key light determines the theme and how dramatic the scene will feel. A fill or fill light determines the contrast between light and shadow across your subject's features. This can be a light on its own or a material that bounces light from the key light onto the darker portion of your subject. Backlighting is any light behind your subject that helps separate your subject from the background. Now let's go through and demo all of your basic lighting angles. The light I'm using is the Falcon Eyes SO48TDX2. It comes with a diffusion panel to soften the shadows, and I've used some Velcro tape to attach this honeycomb filter I got off of Amazon. The honeycomb filter's job is to focus the light onto a specific area. This is really great if you're in a smaller room and need to keep the light from spilling onto your back walls. If at the end of this video you're interested in purchasing a set like mine, I'll have a kit.co affiliate link in the description so you can purchase the light and support the channel at the same time. Let's start with something familiar. Let's take our light and move it to the right of the camera about 30 to 45 degrees and elevate it. What you get is probably the most widely used lighting across all of YouTube. Rembrandt lighting. This style was named after the Dutch painter from the 1600s because he painted his subjects with light coming from an off angle, creating these dynamic shadows across their face. You'll know you've reached Rembrandt lighting when you have this upside down triangle of light across your cheek, farthest from the key light. This is great for interviews or talking head pieces like this one, where the subject's head will generally stay in the same position throughout. Side lighting. Thankfully, this one is pretty straightforward. Set your key light directly to the right or left and slightly ahead of your subject to bathe half their face in shadows. This is great for creating dramatic and dynamic shadows across your subjects and holds up really well during performances and playthroughs. Overhead lighting. Perfect for creating a dramatic look with shadows hooding or even completely hiding the eyes of your subject, depending on how soft the light is and how far forward you place the light. A couple of great examples of this lighting style in music videos would be Archspire's Corpse Drone Aviator with overhead lighting on the drummer, as well as Meshuggah's Break Those Bones whose sinews gave it motion. Underlighting. This is a style less often used, but is still great for giving a look of madness to your subject. You can see it in Lamb of God's video for Nevermore that there was a red light set up directly under Randy's face, creating those distinct shadows. The next three angles I'm going to talk about are types of backlighting like I went over when defining terms. These are typically used more as a supplement to one of the previous angles I went over, but can still be used for your key light if you're looking for that style. A rim light, or sometimes known as a kicker, is going to be behind and to the side of your subject. This illuminates the shoulder, the back of the head, and the jawline. Move the light directly behind your subject and what you have is what I'm calling a backlight. Are you confused on how many times I've said backlight so far? Good, so am I. If you face your light towards your subject, like in this Humanity's Last Breath video, this gives your subject a halo of light outlining them. Now, if we take the light that's directly behind your subject and raise it out of frame, point it towards your subject, and now you have a hair light. This gives separation from the background and is focused mainly on the hair and both shoulders. Now that we've established the typical angles used, let's get to some examples of how to combine them together to make a cinematic scene. Key light, backlight. Key, backlight. Key, fill, backlight. Key, fill, backlight. And these are just a handful of ways you can use these lighting angles to make your videos look more cinematic. Feel free to experiment as you see fit and tag me in the videos you create so I can check them out. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see these principles in action, you can check out this playthrough where I used various combinations of side and overhead lighting to make it more cinematic.